Hello everyone, at 1995 here in the video games and fanfiction plot with a new story for you all. It is called His Queen. If you guys don't know, it's another Transformers fanfiction, and I do hope you enjoy this story. And remember, I do not own the Transformers Prime series or this story. I give full credit to its author Syzzy WinterFalls 13 on Quotev. Now on to the story. What the flip? I sat on the wall, reading City of Bones. Again. It was a good book, and I loved the plot twists in every one of them. I kept eyeing my bag, which held the most delicious of candies known to man. Snickers. You evil temptress. I growled, and snatched the bar. Tearing the wrapper of the Snickers, I chomped down on one end, and sighed at the amazingness. I really hate you. I exclaimed, chewing. I turned around, looking at my guardian. Is he okay? I tilted my head curiously at the thought. Optimus, why so glum? Ratchet asked, walking up to him. This planet, all planets are finally free from Megatron's tyranny. Optimus shook his head. I do not disagree, Ratchet. It's just a small part of me hoped to change Megatron's mind, not extinguish his spark. I could hear the strain in his tone, and seemingly was the only one who could. They must have been close before the war. Optimus, his vileness was not slain by your hand, but by his own arrogance. I jerked up, looking at Ratchet. Sure, he has a point, but he didn't have to be harsh. Optimus sighed, and Ratchet immediately apologized. I'm sorry. I know the two of you had quite a history. I softened my stare, and felt bad for him. But the Megatron whom I once fought beside perished years ago, the day he chose to be a Decepticon. I looked away, and towards my wall. No one deserves this. This pain. Much like me, I guess. I hummed, and listened carefully. The Decepticons may be in disarray, but they aren't without leadership. And while Starscream is no Megatron, he is far from predictable. I was about to make a remark, when an explosion came from the other side of the room. Not again. I rolled my eyes, Ratchet freaking out. Decepticons. We're under attack. I laughed at his paranoia, and watched as they ran to the other side. It's just the volcano, again. It's no attack, Ratchet. Raphael coughed, waving the smoke away. It's my volcano. The paper match science project melted. Or was. Science fair. I chuckled, and looked over to Miko and her solar system. Hold still, Bulkhead. Jupiter needs its red spot. I found it hilarious that Bulkhead was sitting cross-legged on a platform. What in the Alls Park is going on in here? I looked to Ratchet, and sighed. Science fair requirements. Jack looked up from his work on a motorcycle. Our projects are due tomorrow. RC picked up what looked to be an exhaust pipe. Maybe it needs one of these doohickeys. Jack looked to her, putting a hand on his hip. You're a motorcycle, RC. Shouldn't you know how to build a motorcycle engine? I laughed as RC made a sassy remark. You're a human, Jack. Can you build me a small intestine? I giggled, blinking softly. Well, you can't work on these projects in here. You making a mess. I turned to Ratchet, unamused. And what do you call the pile of equipment scattered around? But the science fair's a big part of our grade. Raphael said, continued by Miko. Yeah, if Bulkhead doesn't help me finish this model of our solar system, Ratchet interrupted, and he was starting to get on my nerves. Oh? And what does Bulkhead know of your solar system, or Bumblebee of your volcanoes, or RC of our motorcycles? Jack finished. Precisely. We're not Earthlings. And they're not scientists. I rolled my eyes. You don't have to be a scientist to know the solar system and volcanoes. I looked to Optimus, dumbfounded. But the Autobots are their guardians, Ratchet. Would it hurt to learn more of Earth by helping our young friends with their schoolwork? I smirked, feeling a little more confident in the whole guardian thing. I should take them to Animalia. Yep, soon. I looked up in thought, as Ratchet spoke. Well, maybe our young friends should try learning more of Cybertron. I raised an eyebrow at Ratchet's words. You know, that wouldn't be half bad. I whispered, putting a finger on my chin. Molly, do you have a project to finish? I looked up at Optimus, and it seemed like he wanted to help. Yeah, I haven't seen you working on anything. Maiko shouted, tilting her head. Oh, I finished that 2 weeks ago. I said, waving my hand. Really? Maiko asked, what is it? I smiled, and walked to my backpack, pulling out my science fair project. A small piece of combined nanotech. It doesn't look like much, but this is my project. I said nervously, lifting the smaller piece for them to see. It's a sonic vibration, manipulator. What does it do? Raph asked, walking closer. It sends out and picks up sonic vibrations and uses them like a sonar. It goes around your ear, and this little part right here, I explained, pointing to the rounded bit at the end, is a pulse generator. It sends some of the waves to the eye, and can allow the blind to see. The sonic vibrations would be transferred into translations of the sound it came from. I held it in my hands, smiling. This would allow the blind to see and the deaf to hear. I sighed, and placed it in my pocket. It still needs to be calibrated a little more, but it should be working perfectly soon. I invent stuff for my people, but that doesn't mean I can't help the humans out. I could see Optimus staring at me, and if I wasn't blushing before, I was now. That is so cool. Maiko exclaimed, grinning. I didn't know you liked to invent stuff. I grinned, looking at her from the side. Who do you think came up with my armor? Or my light cycle? Raphael started to rebuild his volcano, and I watched, making comments and suggestions. Bumblebee buzzed and whirred, I believe explaining to Raph about how he became a warrior. But I've seen you in action. You're awesome. Bumblebee buzzed in denial, and Optimus put his hand on his shoulder. I second your opinion, Raph. Optimus agreed, looking down at him. But Autobot life cycles are much longer than those of humans, and most likely animalians. I raised an eyebrow, swallowing a chuckle. And though it may be hard to believe, our young scout still has much to experience. I wanted to say something so badly, but before I could a beacon went off. The computer showed a map, with 2 dots moving about. Exposed Energon, and it's on the move. Bulkhead walked up, narrowing his optic at the screen. And since we ain't moving it, guess who must be? He finished, clenching his fists. Decepticons. RC walked up next to him. Finally, I've been needing to get out again. I said, hopping over a rail. Without Megatron? Maiko asked, as I landed beside her. Unfortunately, Megatron's legacy will live on as others rise to take his place. Optimus answered, walking up. Autobots, you have projects to complete. Ratchet, I may require aid. I sighed, putting my hand on my cheek. Ratchet turned towards Ref's volcano. Science fair is a big part of their grade. Perhaps I'm better suited to remain behind and advise. I took the opportunity. Add the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. I chuckled, receiving a glare from the old bot. Very well. Optimus said, and I could hear the unease in his voice. I hear you, Prime. I jumped the fence, landing on another platform. Bumblebee, let us see about this Energon in transit. B nodded, and walked forward. Molly, Optimus spoke, seeing me walking towards him, I do not believe this would be the best of times to accompany us. Your injuries might not be fully healed. My jaw dropped, my hand rubbing against my chest. Optimus, there will come a time where I'm too wounded to fight alongside you. Today is not that time. Though I might not be able to shift, my armor is just as much as a defense as my scales. Plus, I said, leaping onto his shoulder, when have you not been at my side to help me these past few days? I grinned, my chip dispersing my armor across my body, but not my helmet. He nodded thoughtfully, and we started through the ground bridge. When we walked out of the portal, we entered a large small canyon. Every time. It's always a canyon. Will we ever fight in an open field? I huffed, clutching onto Optimus. Beep beeped, I'm guessing about something to do with the surroundings. No, Bumblebee, it does not. Optimus replied, "Hold your position and await my command." Optimus walked off, and I turned to look back at the scout. "You know, a scout doesn't only stand by and watch," I said, looking at Optimus as we walked. "Molly, we Autobots do many things different than what you seem to believe," he replied, not even looking at me. I took offense in this, refraining from sprouting my claws. "We are more similar than you think, Prime. Syzzy Nisawa, as the saying goes." "Yeah, I just semi-quoted the Lion Guard," I asserted, narrowing my eyes. "What does Syzzy Nisawa mean?" he asked, turning his head slightly. I lowered my head, gripping his shoulder. "It means we are the I was cut off, again, by two Decepticons in front of us. I recognize the smaller one, the silver mech who I can now notice the stilettos." I snorted, regaining my amused look. "It has been a while, Skyquake." The larger bot pushed the smaller one, who I am guessing is Starscream, back. "Optimus Prime. I haven't seen you since the Battle of Technor. Megatron ordered me to annihilate you." I flinched at how loud and deep the con's voice was, and jumped to the nearest rock. Optimus walked towards him, which I thought was stupid. That was a long time ago. "Optimus, this would have been easier if we shot them on sight." My head was screaming, as the two confronted each other. "That may be, Prime, but my orders still stand." I turned around, and saw B. Looking back to make sure they didn't see me, I ran towards him. "B. What the hell does Optimus think he is doing?" I whispered. He shrugged his shoulders, and beeped quietly. We turned back towards him, I still confused at his objective. "Is this ancient war still worth fighting, when so many comrades have been lost and worlds destroyed?" Optimus asked. "If you want to be a true leader, Starscream, then stray from Megatron's path and lead the Decepticons toward peace," Optimus declared, pointing his finger in the tiny mech's direction. "Optimus, that isn't going to work," I groaned, face-bombing. "It takes a Fiskopath to know a Fiskopath, and that is a twisted Fiskopath," I observed, and walked behind a rock. Looking over the large boulder, I saw the silver mech speaking. "I would be willing to consider a truce. Yep, there's a catch. Dang it, Prime, you had to be the judge, jury, and witness in this court order." Starscream, the little brat he is, continued, "If you would be willing to bow before me, Optimus Prime." I smacked my hand on the rock. His patheticness level has reached the point of making my head want to explode. "He is as weak as he is foolish," I claimed, and walked out from behind the rock and into the shadows. "Again?" Skyquake accused, "Bow to this." He punched Starscream, sending him toward the wall. "Well, at least the Skyquake is dignified and honorable. I was about to do that myself," I commented quietly, and walked forwards. Starscream got up whimpering, and transformed into a jet, flying off. "Coward." I smirked, and stopped at a small hole in the rock. "Skyquake, this is a new era on another world." Optimus tried to convince. "Side with the Autobots, and help me in this conflict forever." I gulped, and hid in the hole. "I will never side with a Prime." Skyquake roared, and charged at Optimus, pounding him into the wall. "Oh, that's gonna hurt." I winced, and climbed up to where it was safer. Sitting down on the edge, I watched as Optimus got pummeled. I should go and help him, right? I asked myself. Nah. I observed the standoff at the distance. Optimus pulled out his gun, and started shooting at the con. That did little effect, and Skyquake grabbed his own weapon, which fired real bullets, and started to fire at Prime. I looked on as Optimus was pushed back, not used to the way bullets acted. I heard footsteps, and I turned to see Bumblebee running towards Optimus. "Bumblebee, no!" Optimus yelled, and I jumped up. B jumped in the air, and shot at Skyquake. Skyquake did not like that, and shot at B. I'm glad Bumblebee is fast and agile, because he dodged all the bullets. Only when he got close did Skyquake throw him to the wall. I growled, and jumped off the edge, unlocking my discs from my back. Swinging them towards the con, they hit his back, the plasma creating scorch marks. I somersaulted off of him, and grabbed a ledge to keep footing. Skyquake aimed his machine gun at me, and I froze like a deer in the headlight. He shot at me, before Optimus pushed it away. I covered my head, and jumped off the ledge. Landing on my feet, I ran back around him, watching B lunge at him. "Oh frick!" I mumbled and ran back to the front before B toppled on the ground. I slid on the ground, and took out my baton. "Let's light this candle," I said, and popped a splinter bomb out. "Gemma, this better work." I threw the alien influence tech at Skyquake, and it lodged in his arm. He started to have its effects, disintegrating parts of his arm, before he pulled it out. "Okay, takes longer on robots. Peachy," I mumbled, and darted to the side. Optimus was punched backwards, and B rushed towards him. "Skyquake has not yet acquired a vehicle mode," Optimus observed. "But he still can," I thought anxiously, as Skyquake charged at us yet again. "Fall back," Prime ordered, picking me up. "Optimus, don't you dare," I growled, before he transformed into his vehicle mode. "Ack! Screw you!" I yelled, and looked back towards Skyquake. "So, time has made you a coward, Prime?" he yelled, and started shooting at us. "Optimus, he's shooting at us!" I shouted, ducking my head from a bullet. "Molly, get your head back in!" he shouted, and I obliged. The walls of the canyon seemed to get closer, and we split up from B. "Optimus, B's gone!" I shouted, looking back. Optimus adjusted his mirrors, and screeched to a halt. Turning around, we sped off in a different direction. I could see Skyquake cornering B. Optimus blared his horn, making me cover my ears. "Ultra-sensitive ears over here!" I shouted, all this running around getting on my nerves. He transformed as Skyquake shot at him. I dove away, landing on all fours. Optimus punched Skyquake into a pile of rocks. "Excellent strategy, Bumblebee," Optimus complimented, and I got up. Shaking the dirt off of me, I growled in annoyance. "Next time, warn me before you transform," I yelled, and jumped. Skyquake got up, backhanding Optimus. "Skyquake, stay down," Optimus growled, slamming him in the face. My mouth dropped, and I grinned as he fell. I give a 9 out of 10. I laughed, and looked up. A jet was flying overhead, a government-based jet. "Feller." My eyes widened, and I backed away from Skyquake as he got up. He smiled wickedly, and his eyes shot out a green beam of light, hitting Fowler's jet. The con got up, running in between us. He transformed into almost an exact replica of the jet above us, minus the colors. "Damn it, Fowler!" I cursed, and grabbed my baton. "Don't just stand there. Run!" I shout, and jumped onto my light cycle. I could hear Skyquake shooting at us, but he only seemed to aim at Prime and B. They swerved to avoid the bullets, and I sped up, not wanting to get ran over. SHT, 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 SHT. I mumbled, tilting to avoid the upcoming explosions. Optimus tranced from behind me, as a blast hit his wheels. B found a ramp, and sped off in front of me. Skyquake followed him, and I braked the cycle. "What is that bot doing?" B transformed, and jumped off the ledge and onto Skyquake. "Oh, so it's a rodeo now, huh?" I uttered, looking up at the black and yellow cowboy. "Agent Fowler, we require immediate assistance." I turned to Optimus, who was contacting the flying agent. I looked to where my pocket would be if my armor wasn't on. I wonder. I made my armor split apart on that area, revealing my pants pocket. Picking up the earpiece, I wrapped it around my ear. "Here goes nothing," I whispered, and barked. The sound got louder the farther it got, vibrations focused on one spot. The sound hit a wall, just as Skyquake, who was on fire, crashed. The earth buried him, creating a grave. Had Skyquake chosen to stray from his master's path, we might not be burying him today. I nodded, still shocked at what the earpiece did. "Okay. We have one last project. Molly Pavlis. I exhaled deeply, and walked into the classroom. So Molly, what is your project? Mr. Stewart asked, sighing from my friend's displays. For my project, I have created a sonic vibration manipulator. I presented, holding out the earpiece. It picks up and generates sonic frequencies that travel through the air, and can amplify them to the user's will. The electric port can send some of those desired waves to the brain, and will then be transformed into an image. This device will not only be able to help the military in picking up unidentified signals, frequencies, and interruptions, but will also allow the blind to see and the deaf to hear. My chest rose, as I awaited my results. Mr. Stewart seemed speechless, his eyes wide. Molly, I have always known you were my best student. And you have shown me once again why. He complimented, and gave me an A+. I smiled widely, and thanked him. Walking out of the school, I walked to my truck, which I took instead of letting Optimus take me. I caught up with the others, and waved at Maiko. She wove back wearily, and I already knew that hers and the others' projects did not attend well with the teachers or fire department. Arriving at base, I steered my way through the curved corridor. My truck overtowered everyone else, and it was hard not to drive over RC. Stopping in the main room, I drove to the side to park my beloved Chevy. I opened the door, and leaned against the hood. Well? Ratchet asked, practically skipping towards the very upset teens. How were our projects received? Ratchet asked, bowing. I scoffed, and went to sit on the tailgate. Well? I laughed, remembering what happened. Well, on our planet, you would have awarded the highest honors. Ratchet went off mumbling. B went up to Optimus, beeping. Indeed, Bumblebee. Our human friends would have been wise to stray from Ratchet's path. I chuckled, smiling. So, Molly, Optimus asked me, what did you get for your project? I bit my lip, looking towards the teens. I got an A+. I smiled, and I swear Maiko's eyes popped out of her skull. You what? They yelled at the same time, running towards me. Mr. Stewart never gives out A's, let alone A+. Jack said, jaw slacked. I shrugged, what can I say, science is my favorite subject. Maiko crossed her arms, pouting. No fair. Oh? I said, smirking, how is it not fair? Maiko pointed at me, you said you wouldn't help me with my science project a week ago. You need to make it up to me. My eyebrow raised. How would I do that? I could see the glint in Maiko's eyes, and I mentally face-bombed. Band practice. Now. She took out her guitar from the back of my truck, and I scooted off the tailgate. Fine. Jack, I have your drum set back here, and your keyboard, Raph. I sighed, taking out the equipment. Raph and Jack looked at each other, shrugging. Setting up only took a couple of minutes without help. With robots, we split that time in half. Can we start? Maiko asked, tuning her guitar. Not yet. I called back, searching my back seats. What are you looking for? Jack asked, twirling his drumsticks. This. I said, pulling out my violin. You play violin? Maiko shouted, face contorted in a questionable look. Yes, and I'm very good. Raph knows. I walked up to them, and checked the mic. What song should we start with? I asked, looking at them. They shrugged, Raph playing with the keys on his keyboard. What about the song you were singing in the maze? I froze, my eyes widening. How did you? I stammered, turning around. When you ran off, Optimus explained, I heard you singing. You're quite good. I blushed, rubbing my shoulder. The thanks. I looked down, trying to hide my red face. What song was it? I turned, looking at Maiko. It was Tiptoe. I confessed, being a little shy. Well, not my taste personally, but it was a success on YouTube. I sighed, and grabbed the microphone. Ready, 1, 2. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that's the ending of that chapter. I do hope you enjoy this video. If you like to see more, remember, to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel and leave a comment down below. Until next time.